What's up, guys? How's it going today? If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And today I'm just going to jump right into what I'm going to cover. The Rolly Automation Jig Table for the LaserMATIC Mk2. So this is the jig table for the LaserMATIC Mk2. It is 450 millimeters on the X and 430 millimeters on the Y. The holes are spaced out at 50 millimeters to insert the jig bars. So what I want to do is show you the manufacturer information and some of the latest updates on the status of this guy. And then I'm going to show you a couple tips and tricks and how to use it. And then you should be ready to order one once they become available. So that's the first question. When are they going to be available? I'm going to show you. Let's take a look right now. All right, so on the website we see here next availability will be March 7th. It's currently sold out, but it will be available soon. Now, the other thing I want to show you is that they have updated this. So now it has more positioning bars. You actually get 12 instead of 8, which is amazing. I found myself to be wanting a couple more positioning bars so I could use the full area of the table, and I was just falling short. So these extra 4 will be a tremendous addition. So like I said, there are 50 millimeter spacing, and it now includes the 12 positioning bars. And we are looking at March 7th. I'll leave a link in the description, and you will be able to link to the Rolly Automation website. Then you just head to products, and you'll see the jig table is right there on the first page. Now, the second thing I want to show you, this is the instruction sheet that comes with the LaserMATIC jig table. It does come with an Allen key. Shows you right there. So this is the fence bar, and it says origin. You'll notice right here there's a little cutout on each side. This bar actually has a cutout in the bottom of it that will go over top of the indexing pins on your LaserMATIC. So that's why this bar is used at the origin. And then here's the regular bars and the screws. So it says place the jig table on the support post on the LaserMATIC. The corner with XY should go to the bottom left. And then the origin bar can only be attached at the 0, 0 position along the Y-axis. So it goes this way, and it has to be installed that way in order to index on that support post. Fence bars can be placed at 50 millimeter intervals. To create an array of known positions, workpieces can then be placed against the fence bars. Some business cards in their bottom left coordinates. So you can space these out and get your coordinates very, very close. And here it says it should be accurate to within 0.5 millimeter and be repeatable. They recommend doing a test engrave to determine a static offset, then they can use that for other jobs. And they mentioned using the grid array tool in Lightburn, and just be aware of the virtual array. There have been some changes in the version 1.5 if you're running that. But that's the quick details on this jig table. Now let's place it into the LaserMATIC, and I'll show you a few things about it. Okay, the first thing I want to show you when placing the jig table into the LaserMATIC is your XY is at this lower left corner, and right there is that support post. And then you can see on the back side of this jig bar, there's a cutout for that support post. So this bar only positions in one direction, and that is right here. And just like that, it's set into place. And even without being screwed down, there's no wiggle. They're not moving side to side in the jig table. Now, it looks very pretty. Okay, so we have this beautiful jig table. Now, it'd be nice to be able to use that with our camera, because this jig table is setting lower than the honeycomb. So in order to use that with the camera, what we would have to do is just recalibrate the alignment of the camera. I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So we'll recalibrate the alignment of the camera. We'll put down some jig bars, put down some cork, and run some graphics and test this theory out and make sure it works the way we want it to. And the first thing we need to calibrate our camera is going to be some poster board. So here I have some poster board that's approximately the same size as the jig table. And it has a bend in it. I don't know where that came from. That's a little better. So here we go into Lightburn, and we can go to our camera window, camera control. Where is it? There it is. Okay. First thing we're going to do, now that we have our poster board in there, is go ahead and set this to the proper focus. You'll notice that it needs to go down much lower than with the honeycomb. There, what'll put us in focus. And I did just move that laser head a little bit, so I need to rehome it. Let me just pull it off a little bit, and then home. Now let's get back into Lightburn. The first thing I want to do is export these camera settings. So I'm going to go export, and then I already have it here, but I'm going to call it the Mk2 honeycomb, and that will save these settings for the honeycomb. And then I can just switch back and forth to our new camera alignment. So we're going to calibrate camera alignment. It's the HDR camera. Click next. Thickness is 0. You just want a fill and line speed that's going to give you a nice engrave on that poster board. I'm going to click frame because I want the scale to be about as big as we can go. So let's see what the 182 gives us. All right, that framed at a very large area. I'm happy with that. So now we can hit start. Okay, we are now done, so we can go back into Lightburn. Click next. We want to capture the image. Image looks good. Click next. Now we want to zoom in and mark these in order. So we want it to get to the very center of these lines where they overlap. We can just try to get in the exact pixel. It's right in the center. Then I accidentally hit the space bar, and it sucks when that happens. Let's go to calibrate camera alignment again. HDR camera. Next. The scale is not going to change. We don't need to reburn it. You just hit next. Capture our image. Next. zoom in, grab our first point there. Then we can click and drag, or zoom out and zoom back in. You can click and drag. Now number 3. Then we'll go over here to number 4. I started running this, realized my settings were way off, and then reran it. But let's see, here's number 4. Then click next, and click finish. And then the first thing I want to do now is export camera settings. Call this LaserMATIC Mk2 Jig Table. Now we have our jig table settings. We can update the overlay, and that looks good. And I always like to test it. So let's do test alignment. I'm going to change this to align. 15,060 is what I ran before. So let's just go ahead and run this. And we can watch it on our camera control window. And you can pop this out and make. All right, at this point in time, my microphone went dead. So you can pop that camera control window out and make it bigger. Then you can watch exactly what's going on in your laser without having to stare at the beam. But it just quickly runs that test alignment. And at this point, you want to update your overlay. Double click on that top bar, and it should nest it back in your layout. And then go back to the camera control and update the overlay. Then we can zoom in on the engrave and use the adjustments in the camera control window to fine-tune our alignment and make sure that we are aligned. And what I did is I forgot to remove the adjustments that I was using on the camera, the honeycomb. So once I put those back to 0, they ended up centering pretty well. Just had to make a few minor tweaks, and then we were lined up and ready to go to the next part of the video. Okay folks, we are back in Lightburn. I have a little demonstration prepared for you. I ran out of little cork pieces. That's those outlines. Let me ungroup that. All right, so I have 5 cork pieces left. And what I want to do is just show you, like here are the jig bars positioned. Let me unfade. So you can see we have 6 jig bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it can use this to organize 6 coasters. And what you can do at this point is you can get a toolpath layer going and start outlining your coasters. Then you'll know where to set things up in center. So you could do that and just get everything nice and exact, and then save that as a template for your coasters in the future. That's one way. And then if you want to remember how you had the jig bar set up, what I like to do is just do a screenshot. And that's Windows key, I think. Shift S. And just take a screenshot of the whole layout. And then I just paste it in Lightburn. So Control V. And there I've got a handy reference on exactly how I had my jig bar set up for this project. That's one thing I like to do. So let me get rid of this toolpath layer. Don't need those. And okay. now that I have these highlighted, I had 6 coasters up there, and it's just a cork base for a coaster, just a layer that you'd put on, say, the bottom of a tile. It's sticky back on the other side. So they're very light. First time I did it, I had the air on. I forgot to turn it off, and it blew them out of position. So here we go. We're going to run it again with no air, and then update the overlay once they're done and see what difference that cork thickness makes for our overlay. Because you have to remember, we're aligned to the jig table itself. We are not aligned to the cork, so the camera's aligned to the jig table, so that thickness can alter the image a little bit. So here we go. Let's just go ahead and run this. I'm going to hit start. And there's still a fair amount of air that blows out of that laser module, so hopefully they stay in place for the most part. This won't take very long, but we'll be able to see. I did see that one coaster move. That one there in particular, number 5. But that's it. Let's see what happens. We'll update the overlay now. We zoom in, and then we can go to our camera control, update overlay, and it's very close. It's off just a little bit. So you can see just by changing that height a couple millimeters, it will mess up your alignment. However, you can correct it by shifting and adjusting the height and width. So if I wanted to try and correct this for the next time, like right there's my height, there's the Y, and right there's X, then that lines it up pretty good in the center, but then we still are not lined up on the outside. So we can change our width at that point and try to get it lined up a little better. And then you can do the same thing with the height if it needs scrunched up a little bit, just like that. So depending on the accuracy that you need, this could be good enough for you to go ahead and line everything up and run your work without having to mess with coordinates or anything. But that's just one way you can do a quick camera alignment to test, adjust it, and then once you're done, you can just put these settings back to where you had them. Alright, back in Lightburn, I'm going to update the overlay. And now you can see we have 8 different business cards. And here's where you can really see the benefit of having the 4 extra jig bars that will now come with the jig table. So in this instance, we can do the same thing. We can fade our overlay to make it easier to work with. We can type in numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those are all on the black layer, so I'm just going to select them all. Oh, excuse me, they're on the toolpath. I'm going to select them all and put them on the black layer. Let me show them. Let me get rid of this box. Should be all the boxes. Now let's put them on the black layer. Looks like. Alright, those are all going to need to be reduced. Let me just get them into position roughly. Now just grab both of those and do them at the same time. Six, 7, and 8. Then I'm going to go to the library and do anodized metal, business cards. I'm just going to assign that. I'm not going to engrave it. I just want it to be a line. just so we can take a look and see how this alignment turns out. And I think this should be okay there, so let's just go ahead and start it. Oops, let me turn the air off because I don't want it to blow those cards around. Now we're ready to go. Alright, so let's say that this is the best layout we found for business cards. Again, I just want to do the it's the Start Shift S to do a screenshot, and then say I want to screenshot this, like that's the best layout ever. And then I want to paste it, and then I have it for safekeeping for later. Now let's update the overlay. And we can see that I did not, if you notice that, set these back to what they originally were. So they are indeed off just a little bit. The thickness of the business card should not make that much of a difference. But I know that the X was off just a little bit more than that, but now that puts us right in line. Pretty close. Then once you have this where you want it, you just want to click Save. Then I would export it again once you've made the fine tuning. So I'm going to do that right now. Export camera settings, and this is the jig table. I'm just going to overwrite it. And there we go. There's the settings. So now I can switch back and forth between cameras, whether I'm using the jig table or the honeycomb. But that's the jig table in a nutshell. Just remember, you need to realign your camera. It does come with 12 jig bars now, so you can actually index more aluminum business cards on there than what I have, and more coasters, more of everything. You'll have more index points. It's a really nice table. It's well machined. It's sturdy. I really like it, and I like to use it. If I'm not cutting something, I'd really like to use that jig table. It's just a breeze to use and get square and lined up. So I just wanted to bring that to you guys because I know I've had some questions and some requests for videos on the jig table. And there it is. If I missed something, please leave a comment and let me know what I missed, and I'll try and address that. But I think I covered everything that I could think of anyway, and I hope it was helpful. But that's enough rambling on for today. Thank you, patrons. Thank you, viewers. Thank you for leaving a like. I appreciate that. Thank you for subscribing. I also appreciate that. And most importantly, everyone, have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.